All right, 4.3, classifying complex numbers. Objectives. Students will be able to determine the real and imaginary parts of complex numbers and classify numbers as real, imaginary, or complex. Guys, welcome to the easiest video we'll do all year. All we have to do, take a look at a number like this that has some real part and some imaginary part, and determine which part's real and which part's imaginary. That's it. So it's always going to be in this format, a plus bi. So here's an example, 7 plus 4i, or 2 minus 6i. And check it out, that's the real part. And the 4 there that's attached to the imaginary, guess what? That's the imaginary part. That's all there is to it. So in example 1 here, when it says identify the real part and the imaginary part of the following complex numbers, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to write real and imaginary. And the real part would be 7, and the imaginary part would be 4. Now, you don't put the I with it, okay? You just put the number in front because we already know that it's imaginary because we're labeling it imaginary, so you don't have to put the I there. It's just the 4. In fact, I think if you put the I there on con, it'll mark it wrong, so don't do that. Okay, go ahead and do part B on your own. I think it'll be pretty easy for you. All right, so you should have said the real is 2, and the imaginary, hopefully you recognize that it's negative 6, right? It should be negative 6 because obviously that's a negative 6i. And again, I'm not putting the I there, I'm just putting the number in front, just the coefficient. That's it, okay? Now, the next part is going to ask us to classify the following numbers as either real, imaginary, and or complex. Now here's the deal. If you read over here, it says every number is a complex number. So you're always going to say complex. And the reason why that is you could have the imaginary be 0, and that's just like saying 7. Or you can have the real be 0, and that's just like saying 5i. So, right, so both of these are complex numbers. So that means no matter what, it's always going to be complex. You're never is an answer choice going to be, are you not going to click complex, okay? Always, 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 always. Then you just have to determine if it's also just real or also just imaginary. So for this first one, it has a real and imaginary part. So obviously it is complex, as I said, that's always going to be an answer choice. But it's not real and it's not imaginary, so it's just complex. Boom. The next one, remember, this could be like, you could write this as like 13i plus 0. So it's complex. And it's also pure imaginary. I know that makes, it's kind of confusing, like how could it be both? How could it be pure imaginary and also complex? Just trust me, if you can write it like this, if you can add a 0 to it, then it's also complex. And it's got an imaginary part, so it's an imaginary number. All right, I want you to do part C on your own, give it a try, see what you think you would label it as. Okay, so again, remember, everything is complex. So complex should have been one of your answers. And because you could write this as 27 plus 0i. And then also, obviously, 27 all on its own is a real number. So we would just write it as real. So this one should be complex and real. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. For the summary, I want you to describe what a complex number is in your own words. Give it a shot. I'll see you guys on the next video.